The cabin was supposed to be my escape from the noise of the world. Perched high in the Rockies, it was a rough wooden structure my grandfather had built decades ago, before I was even born. He'd used it for hunting, my father had used it for fishing, and I was using it for silence. I hadn't told anyone I was coming up this week. No phone reception, no internet, no curious neighbors. Just me, my supplies, and the old cabin. That's why, when I unlocked the door and pushed it open, the last thing I expected was movement inside. The faint scrape of wood against wood. Flash of pale skin. Something ducking behind the old stone fireplace. I froze, hand instinctively tightening on the walking stick I carried. "Hello!" My voice echoed in the dim cabin, bouncing off the timber walls. "Is someone in here?" No answer. Just silence, except for my heartbeat in my ears. I stepped inside carefully, my boots crunching against the dusty floorboards. The place looked as if someone had been living here. Blankets pulled across the old cot, a pile of kindling neatly stacked by the hearth, and a half-empty canteen sitting on the table. And then I saw her, peeking out from the shadows, eyes wide, unblinking. A woman, no, not quite. She had the shape of one, but her skin shimmered faintly under the firelight, like silver water rippling beneath moonlight. Her hair was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes weren't human at all. They glowed faintly, a deep violet like twin embers. When she realized I'd seen her, she darted back behind the fireplace, crouching low, trembling. She was afraid of me. The beginning, the hidden guest. For a long moment I stood there trying to process what I was seeing. My logical mind whispered explanations. An injured hiker, a starving runaway, a hallucination brought on by altitude sickness. But none of those explained the faint shimmer across her skin, or the fact that she had left no footprints in the dust where she'd moved. "I'm not here to hurt you," I said gently, lowering my walking stick and stepping back toward the door to give her space. "This is my cabin. But if you need shelter, you can stay." Her head tilted slightly, like she was studying my words but didn't understand them fully. She pressed herself tighter against the stone wall, breathing quick, shallow breaths. It was then I noticed the burns. Along her forearms, across her collarbone, patches of cracked, darkened skin as if fire or acid had scorched her. They looked raw, painful. I knelt slowly, placing my pack on the floor. From it I pulled out a small first aid kit, setting it on the table and pushing it toward her. "Medicine. For wounds," I explained, trying to keep my tone calm. Her glowing eyes flicked from the kit to me, suspicion still etched on her face. But slowly, hesitantly, she crawled forward into the light. That's when I saw her fully. Her form was human-like. 2 arms, 2 legs, slender frame, but there was an otherness in every detail. The shimmering skin, the elongated fingers tipped with faintly translucent nails, the way her hair shifted colors faintly depending on the angle of light. She moved with both grace and fear, like a deer ready to bolt at the first wrong move. When her hand touched the bandages, she recoiled, then cautiously reached again, this time holding the roll as though it were something sacred. She looked back at me, eyes narrowing, as if waiting for permission. I nodded. "For you." And so she bandaged her wounds in silence while I stood there, trying to accept the impossible truth. An alien woman was living in my grandfather's cabin. The middle, learning each other. The first 2 days were slow, tense. She barely made a sound, moving like a ghost in the small cabin, always watching me warily. She ate little, drank from the canteen I refilled with melted snow, and never let me get too close. I spoke to her sometimes, even if I wasn't sure she understood. Told her my name. Told her about the cabin, the mountain, the trees outside. She never repeated a word, but sometimes her head tilted, like she was storing the information. The burns healed slowly under the ointments and fresh wrappings. I noticed her strength returning, the way she moved with more confidence. On the third night, as the fire crackled low, she finally spoke. Her voice was soft, melodic, but strained as though every word cost effort. "You a human?" The sound startled me. I nearly dropped the mug of tea in my hand. "Yes," I said quickly. "I'm human. My name is Daniel." She studied me with those glowing eyes. "Daniel." The word was careful, deliberate. Then she placed a hand against her chest. "Syra." Name. From then on, something shifted. We weren't strangers occupying the same space. We were Daniel and Syra. Bit by bit she spoke more. Her sentences were broken, fragments of thought, but I pieced together her story. She wasn't from Earth. That much was obvious. Her vessel, what I guessed was a ship, had been damaged. She'd fallen from the sky into the mountains weeks ago. Injured, alone, hiding. She didn't trust humans, fearing they'd kill or capture her. "Why hide in my cabin?" I asked one evening, genuinely curious. Syra's eyes flickered. "Safe. Warm. Yours, not know I hear." I laughed softly. "You thought I wouldn't come back for months." She tilted her head, faint amusement in her expression, like she was learning what laughter meant. But the more I learned, the more questions burned inside me. Who was she running from? Were others like her nearby? What did she want? And yet, instead of demanding answers, I found myself caring more about simple things. Whether she ate enough, whether her wounds healed properly, whether the fear in her eyes lessened when I entered the room. The threat. One night, a storm rolled across the mountains. Wind howled, rattling the shutters, and snow battered the roof. I was laying extra logs on the fire when Syra stiffened suddenly, head snapping toward the window. Her glowing eyes widened with something more than fear, recognition. "They come," she whispered. My blood ran cold. "Who?" Before she could answer, a deep rumble shook the cabin. Not thunder, something mechanical, something massive. I rushed to the window, peering through the snow. Down the valley, lights pierced the storm, harsh, bright beams sweeping across the mountainside. And then I saw the shape, a dark craft hovering low, alien in design, metallic skin rippling against the snowfall. "Hunters," Syra said, voice trembling. "They find me." I turned back to her, heart hammering. "What do they want?" Her lips pressed thin. "Take me. Kill me." There wasn't time to think. The lights were climbing the valley, heading straight for us. "Syra, we have to go." But she shook her head violently. "No, run. They follow. You die." Her words pierced me, but I couldn't just abandon her. She was terrified, wounded, alone. "Then we fight," I said firmly. "Together." Her eyes widened at that. A flicker of something, hope, disbelief, passed across her face. The battle. We doused the fire and plunged the cabin into darkness. Snow roared outside, masking sound. I grabbed the old hunting rifle from the wall, while Syra pressed her hands together, summoning a faint glow of violet energy between her palms. When the hunters arrived, the world erupted. The cabin shook as the alien craft descended, its doors sliding open. Figures emerged, tall, armored, carrying weapons that hummed with lethal power. Their eyes glowed faintly, not unlike Syra's, but colder.